بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Qari Siddiq rahmatullahi alayhi, once he went somewhere, and after the program or the bayan or the lecture, food was served. And when food was being served, he says there's many types of food. Obviously, this is also part of Islam, part of our etiquettes, that the ikramul daif. Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyukrim dayfahu. To honoring your guests. And obviously, it depends on the urf. How do you honor your guests? When you go to, I don't know if you've ever been to Dawat in Saudi Arabia. It's a very long process. They come, they have oud, and they go around and they give you itar, and then they have starters, and they have ending, and after that you have, if you've ever been, it takes you a good 2-3 hours dawat. You know, when you go, so after Tarawih, I remember once I went to some place for dawat, it just takes, that's how they do it. That's the ikram. You can't, that's the culture. So whatever, prepare food, itar, whatever, multiple types of food. However, within your capacity, but don't go over the top, put yourself under too much burden. But these people, to honor the guest, they prepared lots of food. So when Qari Siddiq rahmatullah alayhi, when he saw this, he wasn't happy and he jumped on it. He started to cry, or his eyes swelled up. Like swelled up meaning it became like you could see tears. And he said, yeah, the people who cook this food, they will be rewarded greatly. Because 2 reasons. One is they're doing ikram of the daif, and more than a daif, they are honoring me, thinking that I am a scholar, I'm alim, I'm a pious person. So because of the niyyah of honoring a person, honoring a pious person, they will get their reward. They will be rewarded fully for all of this. But what about me? What about me? He says here, lekin hamara kya hoga? I am, again, his humility. That I have deceived the people, that they think I am pious. So because of their niyyah of trying to honor a person who is pious, honor an alim, honor a scholar, they're doing all of these things for me, so they will be rewarded greatly. Allah will give them barakah in the ilm, Allah will give them barakah in the amal, Allah will give them reward for this. But what about me? I am not worthy of all of this. Do you understand? You see how often and how they always look at themselves, they look inside. They never deceive, they never of this position that think of themselves worthy of this. Do you understand? So they said that whatever reason, whatever thoughts they had regarding me. So I remember one time we went to in Umrah. Mana Salim Sahib went to meet his teacher, Mana Hashim Sahib. So in Darul Bari, there were two very senior teachers, Mana Yusuf Mutal Sahib rahmatullahi alayhi, and one is Mana Hashim Sahib. Hafidhullah is very sick at the moment. So when Mana came back, he told us, he said that we were talking to Mana Hashim Sahib, and he was complaining about somebody, whatever reason, like, you know, he doesn't treat me well, or he doesn't speak to me. I can't remember the exact details. But he goes, whilst he was saying this, he paused. Man Hashim Sahib, he paused. I said, doing istighfar. He said, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. And then in Urdu he said, why did I think of myself so high that I assume he should treat me properly and speak to me properly? I'm not even worthy of this. Why did I think of myself to be such a high position? You see how deep insight is, and how they're always thinking about themselves. That why should I complain that he's not treating me well? Because I'm worthy of this. I'm not worthy of it. I'm not like, oh, I'm so great person that he should treat me well. He should behave with me in such a way. So immediately he started and he stopped. And then istighfar and tawbah. That I am not worthy of being treated correctly. So why am I even thinking this is pride on my behalf? And then istighfar and tawbah. So when you see the higher levels of taqwa, highest levels of muhasabah, where a person is always constantly aware and keeps an eye on his nafs, he keeps an eye on his thoughts, he keeps an eye on the wasawis that shaitan puts in his mind, then he starts to really understand. Like, these things are something you're not going to read in a book. Well, this is a book, but you learn from the a'mal and the practice of the sulaha, how they speak, how they conduct themselves, how they react to things. Do you understand? Like, you get it. So sometimes, like, people get angry that why is you go to a place that, like, food doesn't taste nice. Now you go into a place, you've been served food, and you complain about the food. You think, well, I'm even lucky that this happened to me, that I got this much. There was one time a person was passing by, one scholar, one alim, one state was passing by with two of his students, and somebody threw some dirt from above. Like, you have like 2-story floor. Somebody threw something. So when it hit him, when it came on him, he looked at it, and then he said, Alhamdulillah. He It is thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's only something dirty. I am so sinful, I am worthy that rock should have been thrown upon me because of my sins and my evil. You understand? So when you have the surah, this is what it's also, so salah is also to do with your a'mal, but along with it's also to do with your understanding and your fiqh, your fahm of the nafs. Man arafa nafsahu arafa rabbahu. Always understanding, keeping a watch over your nafs. That it isn't, one is the sins, the clear, zahir sins, zina, alcohol, evil glances, lying, deception. Or one is keeping an eye on yourself. Am I involved? Is my conversation, the way I'm saying this, am I being proud? Am I really, am I being proud? Am I being arrogant? Is shaitan playing with me? So this is what you always have a look on your nafs. But you only understand this when you start reading these things. You start reading and hearing these kind of lectures. Oh, right. This is also something that you have to think about. You have to something, you don't even realize that this is also another, like, you don't even think of this. But when you start, you read from those scholars and you see them, you realize, all right, this is actually another level. And it's very important. What happens is that shaitan gets us involved in small little sins that they don't even realize. Yes. Shaitan, no, you call it chess. So you have checkers, you have chess. What's chess? Like, why is he giving me his pawn to eat? Because if I move, he wants me to move here, so then what's going to happen? He's going to eat me here. And then you have 3D chess. That means like he's playing an ultimate, I call it like double. So shaitan plays reverse chess and 3D chess. He deceives us in ways we don't even realize. Thoughts come to us, we get involved in pride, arrogance, show, riyah. There's a few like really like statements which are really, really profound stories. One of them was, I can't remember the names of this, from the Hayatul Salaf bin Qawli wal Amal in there. So he mentions, he goes like the two scholars. So the two scholars sat together one day. And they sat down. They didn't used to meet that often. They would meet once in a while. So they came together and they sat and they talked. And it was a very blessed gathering. If you ever sit with scholars and when you hear them talking, then they talk about ilm, they talk about deen, they talk about the ummah, they have the wife of the ummah. It's a very beautiful gathering. It's very barakah. You can feel it when the ulama sit. So they sat in this gathering talking about these different things like this. And when the gathering came to an end, one of those scholars, he said that I hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this gathering that we had, we sat, we discussed many things regarding deen, ilm, amal, the ummah, etc. And I hope that we will be rewarded for this gathering because we sat for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other scholar said, I am fearful this majlis will be a wabal upon us. He said, how can it wabal? We didn't do any sin. He said, yes, but me and you came together. I know about you, you know about me. I looked and tried to present myself in the best possible way to you, to impress you. You possibly tried to present yourself to me in the best possible way. So shaitan has probably maybe have played with both of us. And in our talking about deen, talking about religion, talking about a'mal, we're actually involved in show, riyah. So I fear this will be a gathering which may be what? It means a wabal upon us. You see how deep they always think, they're checking the sincerity at each and every point. This is what we need to learn. That we keep checking our sincerity, keep checking our amal, keep checking our niyyah. Why are we doing this? Why did my behavior slightly change? Somebody came in the room, then my lesson slightly changed, the way I was delivering my lesson. The teacher we were behaving, something slightly changed. I performed salah in the masjid, and today was a gathering, did my niyyah slightly change? Today I was giving the khutbah, so did my niyyah slightly change when I gave the khutbah? A'jabatni nafsi. All of these things is when we start to learn that, look, we have to keep an eye over our behavior. So some of the very low level that we have to have teachers and parents looking after our behavior. But the level of taqwa and salah is that we are looking after ourselves. Not in terms of this apparent mistakes and apparent errors and faults and sins, but these small, minor little things. We keep an eye on, check ourselves. What's our reality? Where are we really? How high is our taqwa? How sinful are we really? Do you understand? So when we have this kind of insight, we realize, all right, this is how we need to keep an accountability of ourselves. Do you understand? So we shouldn't become proud. Somebody opens the door for us, you become a scholar. Somebody opens the door for you, call you Maulana, you get so happy. Why? Nothing happens. Someone opens the door for you, so what? But if you start becoming happy and proud and these things become a means of, then it's like, you know what, shaitan is playing with you now, chess. Shaitan is letting you do your imamah because he knows when you read imamah and you got a good voice, you got a good qira'ah. And shaitan is he's giving you the pawn. Like, go ahead, read Quran, read the tilawah, read the imamah. Because he knows why. When you get in that musalla, I'm going to checkmate you. Why? Because I'm going to make you do riyah. I know how to make you do riyah. You're very weak. And you start doing tilawah and you read your normal salah and other salah differently. When you're reading, you think, oh, this is very impressive. So you checkmate. So he gives you the pawn. You do tilawah, no problem. And how do we learn all these things? From the pious, from the ulama, the sulaha, the mashayikh. All of that, you understand? You learn the illatul nafs. You learn how the nafs deceives us, how shaitan plays chess with us, or 3D chess with us. what tricks he used to deceive us. You have to remember, shaitan will never ever leave us. Never ever. If you become the greatest wali, he'll never leave you. Why? If you can't do Jahannam, at least lower your Jannah status. You following? So what he will do is, even if you're performing salah, he will say, well, let me try to get this person deceived in some way that his salah becomes of a lower quality. Let me somehow trick him so that he performs the lesser of two deeds. Let me trick him so his deed has a bit of fault. He's never going to give up on you. So we have to keep our eyes on ourselves. Become we call it muraqib and muhafiz upon ourselves, our amal. So we're always aware, we always have an eye out. So we don't become involved in these subtle sins. Riya, show, pride, arrogance. And if you don't learn these things, what will happen? You see, we can't realize, like, for example, if I'm speaking, somebody goes, whenever I meet anybody, I've been living in England for how long now? Oh boy, la ilaha illallah, for about 25, almost 25, 23 years, 22 years. But every time somebody says, where are you from? Why? Because they know that in my voice, you can't change it. There's an accent. There's something different. I can try to speak, I can drink, I can try to sip my tea as I want. I try to use all the posh language I want. But I'm not from the Queen's of England. You can tell that I'm from Barbados. Why? My accent is there. So similarly, when we have pride, show, arrogance, you can't tell. I can't tell that I got an accent. I think I'm speaking very posh. Yes? But you can tell straight away that what? This has got an accent. So when you see a person, just the way the person walks, you can tell that person. Those people are aware of the illat and nafs. They've studied, they've realized, they've spent time with the ulama. So the way he's walking, he's got a bit of arrogance in his walk. The way he responds, these are things he say. You can realize that this person, you know, he's got a bit of arrogance. He's got a bit of pride. Straight away you can tell. You understand? And you can tell if you try to keep your attention on yourself, you realize even during the day you yourself realize, oh, I slipped here. You do istighfar, you do tawbah. Just small little things. Shaitan keeps picking you up. But you only understand these things when you first of all, understand that is also the nafs and our inner base desires and how shaitan uses the internal agent. And after that, then you have to read, sit in the company of the ulama, study these things. If not, what will happen? You wouldn't understand the next level of, you get the basics, the faraiz are in place, but you wouldn't understand that. You understand checkers, but you wouldn't understand the chess. You wouldn't understand how these pawns and these checkmates work, where they're playing you into a game, you have no idea. And shaitan can put you into a game. And inshallah, even if you don't get that deep, Allah have fadl upon you and overlook your shortcomings. But if you want to get the highest stages of taqwa, the highest stages of ilm and amal, and you know, closest and ikhlas and sincerity, you have to be able to understand all of these tricks of shaitan. You understand? But shaitan is never going to leave you alone. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us ability to understand ourselves and understand the reality of ourselves, save us from these sicknesses of the heart. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.